Hello everyone. This is the first online class for class 8 science. So today we are going to start the first chapter of class 8 science. The first chapter of class 8 science is crop production and management. In this crop production and management chapter, we will study about the different kinds of crops that are grown in different seasons, how the crops are grown and how the fields are prepared for sowing the seeds and other procedures which are related to the crop production and management. So these all we will discuss in this chapter. Now, first of all, we should understand that the food is required by each and every one of us. We living creatures need the food for survival. Humans, animals, including the plants also need the food for their survival. So, we humans and the other animals eat the food and we require the food. But we can say that we are not the producer of the foods. We are the consumers. Now, who produces the foods basically? The foods are produced by the plants, especially the plants which have the chlorophyll. Due to the presence of chlorophyll, the plants can prepare their food with the help of carbon dioxide and sunlight, and the process is known as photosynthesis. Now, the plants are the primary producers of the food. So, these plants can give us fruits, vegetables, leaves, as well as the plants leaves are eaten and the other parts are eaten by the animals, and these animals also yield us some or other food materials, like for example milk, like for example butter, ghee, even meat of the animals are also eaten, eggs of the animals are also eaten. So we can say the direct or indirect relationship are there between the plants and the animals and also the human beings. Okay. The human civilization has started the production of the crops millions of years ago. Earlier, in very ancient times, the humans were rather the collectors of food, or there you can say they would go from one place to the other in search of the food. They would eat the food, fruits from the trees or whatever they can get. They can scavenge, and they used to scavenge and they used to live in caves. And there were no permanent home or residence for these humans at that time. But gradually the humans have settled near to the banks of the rivers, and as you know that water is a very essential part for every one of us. We need water for drinking as well as the other purposes as well. So therefore the human civilization settled near to the rivers, and they started their process of cultivation. So they started cultivating, and from that the journey of the crop had begun. Now, when you think about crops, the crops are basically what? They are the plants which are grown in large quantity, large amount. A particular type of plant which is grown over a large area or a large land is known as a crop. The crop can be anything. It can be paddy, it can be seeds, it can be fruits, it can be vegetables, it can be seeds, it can be anything. So, whichever is grown in large quantity for the food purpose is known as crops. Now, when you think about crops, there are mainly two types of crops that are practiced in our system. So, what are these two types of crops basically? The two types of crops that we practice in our part of the world is the Kharif crop and the Rabi crop. Basically, we practice two type of crop systems. We know that in India, we don't have the proper irrigation system. So, we are dependent on the monsoon rains. The monsoon comes in the month of June, July, and it continues to rain for 1 or 2 months, and from there we get the most of the rains or the water we get that is essential for the crops. So the season for the crops in India starts at the month of June, or you can say sometime it can differ to June to July. So basically the crops which are done in June, from June and it goes to September, this particular season's crops are known as Kharif crop basically. So Kharif crop is one type of crop and the other type of crop is known as the Rabi crop. Now the Kharif crops are done in the month of June to September. Basically this time we can say it's a rainy season. Now what kind of crops are grown in this Kharif season? In the Kharif season, mainly the crops that are grown are paddy, then maize, millet, groundnut, soybean, cotton, etc. are the basic, or like normally there are other crops as well. So these are the crops that are grown in the Kharif season. Next one is the Rabi season. So when do the Rabi season starts? It starts in the month of October, November, and it goes till March, April. So basically this is a dry season. Now in this season it does not require much of water. In Kharif season, especially the paddy, as we know that all around us there are lots and lots of paddy fields, and we have seen that in the paddy fields in the month of June, July, it is completely immersed in water, and people sow the paddy plants in there and they grow the paddy plant. So it requires a lot of water. But in the case of Rabi crops, it does not require that much of water, and even they require water, but it is not to that extent as it is required by the paddy crops and all. So what kind of crops are grown in the Rabi season are wheat, gram, peas, mustard, linseed, etc. are the crops that are grown in the Rabi season. There are other crops also. Like it is not that only these crops are grown, there are some other crops. We have just given some examples to you all that these are the crops that are grown in the Rabi season. Now Rabi season, it is from October, November and it goes till March, April. So these are the crops that are basically grown in this season. Okay. Now coming to crops again. So we know that crops are grown for many thousands of years in all around the world, but the crop system or how the crops are grown, it requires a bit of explanations to do. Now we have discussed about the crops that are grown in our country and the particular months in which the crops are grown. Now we will have to discuss about how the crops are grown. What is the process of cultivation and how the crop system and how this all system take place, we will discuss now. Now we are going to discuss about the basic practices of crop production. For crop production there are some practices that are required to be done. So in these practices, the first one, that is preparation of soil. Now what is preparation of soil? When you are to grow a particular type of crop, you have to prepare the soil in that way. So we will go into the elaborate discussion of all these topics later on. First of all, let us discuss and tell you all about what are the basic practices of crop production. First one is preparation of soil. Second one is sowing. Sowing means sowing of seeds or sowing of plants. Okay. Now, in some of the cases, the seeds are sown. In some of the cases, from the seeds, when the plants grow, especially in the case of paddy, when from the seeds the plants are grown, these plants are then again sown in the field. The next one is adding manure and fertilizers. As we know that every plant requires some kind of nutrients, as we humans also require nutrients for our growth and development, so do the plants. So when the plants are being sown, they require some nutrients, as the soil may not be able to provide them the proper and sufficient nutrients. So therefore the plants need some extra nutrients, and that is being provided by adding manure and fertilizers. Okay. The next one is very importantly, this is irrigation. What is irrigation? As you know, irrigation means the supply of water. The water is essential for the development and the growth of the plant. The water is very essential, and therefore a proper and good amount of water is required for the plant's development. So if the irrigation is not proper, then the plant may not give you a proper yield, even the plant may not grow properly. So therefore irrigation is important. Fifth one is the removal of weeds. Now what are weeds? Weeds are the unnecessary or unrequired plants which grows in the paddy field or whatever kind of crops that you are growing, whichever grows in that particular vicinity of that crops, production of the crops or where the crops are grown, these unwanted or unnecessary plants are known as weeds. So we need to get rid of these weeds, because these weeds can take the nutrients which are essential from the plants, and they will take the share of the nutrients which the plants had to take, and therefore it will hamper the plant's growth. So we need to get rid of these weeds. So therefore removal of weeds are required. Okay. Now sixth point is the harvesting. This is the most important part for the crop production. Harvesting means the cutting of the crops. When you have grown the crop, so the crop has grown. Now from there you have to harvest. Now harvesting is practiced, and where people go to the field and they cut their crops. There are lots of tools which are used. We will discuss elaborately later on. Moving on to the last one, that is the storage of food grains. Now this is a big problem in a country. India produces lots and lots of amounts of food every year, but due to the shortage of storage facilities, our country loses lots of amount of crops every year due to the shortage of the storing facilities. So therefore this is a very important topic. When the crops are grown, that has to be harvested, and after the harvesting is done, then after the due process whichever is required, washing, threshing or peeling them, whatever it is, after that it has to be stored and kept in a particular area so that it does not get damaged. One more problem which happens due to the lack of storage is the rodents problem. Rodents eat away a lot of amount of crops and foods every year. So therefore the storage of food grains is also an essential part for the basic practices of crop production. So these are the 7 topics that we will discuss now in this chapter.